Hi everyone and welcome along. Today is the 4th of July, so it felt absolutely perfect to do a little Independence Day themed tutorial. So we're going to do some firecrackers in the Stars and Stripes theme. Perfect for anyone who wants to celebrate. But I've got a few other things to tell you about before we get started with the painting. The first one is my brand new book, A Year of Watercolour, is finally available for pre-order. So you can get this pre-ordered at your favourite bookseller. You just find the link in the episode notes below. A Year of Watercolour is a seasonal sort of travel through the seasons. We've got loads of beautiful botanical projects and birds and insects, but this time we've also got some really lovely easy landscapes for you as well. So that is coming out at the end of August. It is available globally, and we do have some foreign language editions coming out, and they'll be rolling out once it's published. I don't have the exact details of every single different language we've got at the moment, but I will let you know as soon as I do. So, A Year of Watercolour. And then the other thing is we've still got a few spaces left on our Portugal retreat. We're doing a 5-day watercolour painting retreat in Montserrat in Portugal in October this year. So if you love the sound of that, and I know I'm really excited, again, head to the episode notes below and find all the details and booking info. Right, enough with the housekeeping. Let's grab our paints and let's get started. Hi everyone, so we're going to do some 4th of July firework things. I'm actually going to do them on a card, so as usual what I've got is my regular watercolour paper, and I've got a rectangle that's 23 centimetres by 14 centimetres. You could choose any size you like, is just what I had lying around. Then I scored it down the middle, which means that I can turn this into a fun card. And we're going to draw some little rockets. So we're going to do them sort of bursting out, so we have this sense of them sort of getting sort of smaller as they get sort of down to the bottom and larger. So this is what we're going to do. So I'll talk you through how to draw that. So we'll do one down here. So I'm going to do a slightly curved straight line. A slightly curved straight line. What does that mean, Harriet? You know what I mean. Intending to be straight, but just with the tiniest curve. And then same again, just tapering a little bit. And then just cut across the top with a nice U shape. Everything's just a little bit softened and rounded, just to make it that little bit cartoonish. And then we'll round off the bottom. Then I'm going to do one that's just going a bit higher and maybe a little bit, yeah, a little bit higher. Remember to draw nice and lightly with your pencil. I draw just that little bit heavier so that you can see it, but remember the key with especially my watercolour painting is it's all about drawing nice and faintly so that you can rub out the pencil afterwards. I'm going to do this one as just a little bit more squat, and we'll do so that one's sort of coming out at you a bit more. Right, so now I'm going to just add a little stick to the bottom of these. And then I've seen some that have a sort of tail with a little sort of sparkler on the end, so we'll do that. That's quite fun. So this one here, let's just make it maybe a little bit more pointy. There we go. It'll make sense when we do it. Right, so I'm now going to use my putty rubber to just give this a light rubbing out. So if you are naturally a sort of heavy-handed drawer, then all you need to do is just give it a little light rub out with your eraser. I find a kneadable putty eraser much better for doing a sort of half-hearted rub out. and a hard eraser are really good for doing the proper rub out at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to create these and make them like stars and stripes, but to start off with, what I want to do is create a sort of rounded base colour for them, a very, very faint off-white, which is going to be our base colour. So I've just used a bit of Moon Glow and buff titanium and plenty of water to create this nice wash. And I'm going to paint it on and it's very, very faint, but it's just going to really help us define these shapes when we come to rubbing out the pencil at the end. So I'm just choosing the areas, the sections of the rockets that are going to have unpainted space, lots of like white, sort of white from the stars, maybe white from the stripes. So I'm using a size 2 brush, just make sure I'm just making sure I've got the outline covered, and then maybe just coming in a little bit, but making sure there's a bit of unpainted space in the middle. There we go. Now that's dried, I'm going to pop in a few stars, just drawn in, because I think it's much easier to paint them when they're drawn. So a little 5 pointed star, and they're going to get smaller. So the way I do it is you just start at the top. I know that painting stars and drawing stars is quite challenging for a lot of us, so let me just talk you through it. If you want a little bit of a guide, what can be helpful is starting at the top and then doing like a continual star drawing like that. I find that's how I began. So, or if you wanted, you could draw yourself, I think this might be even harder, but drawing a circle to help you sort of get your perimeters nice and even. But it does result in a good star. Or just sort of marking out a triangle, and then again that gives you the perimeters of those. But hopefully by the time you've sort of done that a few times, then it should be possible to sort of work your way through it. But the other thing is not to sort of beat yourself up about having perfect perfect star shapes, especially for little illustrations. I think a little bit of a wobble is always a good thing. So I'm going to have some just coming off around the side like that. Okay, I think that's enough stars. So what I'm going to do now is start to do some painting, and I've got a size 0 brush here, size 0 pointed round, and we've got red, white and blue. Those are the key colours. The red I'm using is cadmium red, the blue I've got 2 mixed up here. I've got cobalt blue deep and then French ultramarine blue. I think I'll want to sort of add little bits of low lights of that French ultramarine blue, but let's begin with the red, shall we? So we've got lots of options here. I'm just going to begin really nice and simple and just paint in a solid coloured cone of our firework. I'm using the colour in a really nice concentrated manner. I'm just being really careful getting it to the edges, and you'll want to have made sure that your whitewash has dried. And then now I just clean my brush off a little bit, draw that colour in, clean it off a little bit more, and I like to get that nice bit of shine on the cone like that, just from using a little bit of unpainted space. And I think in terms of red, I think it's good to have like a bit of red, bit of white, bit of blue on all of them. And it doesn't have to be, you know, you can just sort of have a bit of fun with it and make up some some styles. I think what could be fun is maybe do like a stripe that's coming down in like a helter-skelter. That would be fun. So I'm just thinking about the roundness of the shape. You could always draw it in pencil if you wanted to go first, but I quite like just having a go painting it on. A bit of fluff on my brush. With things like stripes, I think it's quite difficult to get a bit of shine, also like unpainted shine on the thing as well. So don't worry too much about that because we have got one more trick up our sleeve. Okay, now I'm going to move on to painting the blue elements. So I'm going to just start with that, and the size 0 brush still seems to be working well, so I'm just going to paint around the outside of these stars. Right, we've got all our red, white and blue painted on, and now we're going to paint in the posts and the sparklers. So I've got some cadmium yellow, and on the end of each sparkler I'm just doing a little starburst, just like painting petals of a flower really. Doing it with the size 2 brush means it's large enough to get a good stroke just with the brush itself, and then maybe just a few extra little ones there. And then we'll add some cadmium orange. So we're just adding it to the middle, so it'll sort of blend a little bit. And then I've got some mixture here of burnt sienna and a bit of Payne's grey, but I've got it quite concentrated and dark, and that's going to act as our fuse and our stick. So I'll use a slightly smaller brush of 2/10 here, and I'm just going to sort of outline those so we get a little bit of an interesting, a little bit of a highlight and a low light. So to finish off, I'm just going to use a bit of Payne's grey, concentrated Payne's grey on its own, and I'm going to paint in these fuses. The rigger brush would also be really good for this. It takes a bit of getting used to if you're not sort of too confident with the brush, but it's a great brush to try out. There we go. So we're just going to let that dry and then we'll rub out the pencil. And there we are. So I've just folded the card up, rubbed out the pencil, and you can see now the very, very faint sense of that white colour that we painted underneath is just helping those rockets stand out. And yeah, so it's a lovely little card to send if you are celebrating. And if not, just a rather useful little firecracker tutorial for everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and a very happy 4th of July to anybody who is celebrating. I want to say a massive thank you to my patrons for their support, because that support enables us to keep creating videos like these that everyone can enjoy. And if you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and comment below to let me know how you got on with that one. And of course, if you never want to miss another video, then hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!